Welcome back to another episode at Consciously Evolving Enterprises. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Ryan Dillon Brasington. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I am introducing the Solo Bravo Act, which is myself going out on solo missions. Not only have fun, also to meet some new people, hopefully some love interest as always, but unfortunately, it's still come up short. So that means these stories that I have, I've only got to share them with you guys and my old man. So I wanted to start with the list that I've got here. First and latest that I went out and seen was a $95 ticket to go and see Lime Cordiale. Yeah, great night out. I had myself a few drinks, a few cocktails. Don't mind a few cocktails here and there. Favorite is a Long Island iced tea. I know my limit is three with them. That is it. Then I try and have a beer after that. During the show, I did have the three that I like, and started to enjoy the show. Ran into some old friends, had a laugh, had a giggle. But yeah, when I got onto that beer, I was at the point where I was probably over. Especially when you go to sip your beer and pick up someone else's drink. Yeah, that's when I was like, yeah, all right, that's the point. But anyway, Long Cordial was a long time to wait for. Yeah. Anyway, next down the list, guys, was a stand-up comedy show down there at Avoca Beach Theatre. It was fantastic. I got a solo seat by myself up the front, and was a part of the show as well. Just by being there. So that was also cool. Of recent, I've gone and seen John Wick 4 in the new adventure chairs that move around. I sat down the front and pretended I was in the movie myself, which was awesome. I'll come back and tell you guys the full details of these stories as well. The first movie that I seen in those new moving chairs that the motion movement ones, was the Doll Robot movie. I'm forgetting the name of it, Megan, I think it was. But anyways, yeah, I talked along with the main character, the mother, the figure the whole time, because the role was that easy to go along with. Anyway, going down the list, not only that, I took myself out to Thai dinner out at East Gosford, which was also fantastic. That was after a Thai massage down the street. Spoiled myself with that. Another solo mission. Thank you very much. I was going on a routine mission down to the Woodport, which is now the Sunken Monkey, and seeing a comedy show there every Thursday night. I was pretty much the only one up front clapping in the spotlight with the comedian himself. You couldn't see anyone else out the back seat. He didn't know the number. But anyway, I'll come back to tell you guys all about it. Not only that, after the movies one time, I took myself longboarding down the hill all the way home, which was also awesome. I had no one to share that with except for you guys. Took myself out to Diggers to have dinner there. Had a green curry. It was nice, but again, I'll come back to tell you guys. And again, took myself out for a solo mission at cocktail bar. Being all fancy, hopefully to meet someone. And there was nobody else there. So great stories to come. So like I said, with Lime Cordial at the top of the list there, guys, it was a $95 ticket. I went out, had some money saved up. So, and ended up having a good night all in all. But obviously, three Long Island iced teas is, we waited a very long time for the main band Lime Cordial start. There was a previous girl, I've forgotten her name. I'm sure I've mentioned it in a previous podcast or recording. So we'll get back to you guys on that. During the wait time, there was music on at first. Had a cocktail, waiting outside, having a vape, and I looked through the glass door and I can see the girl that was later to be on stage singing songs. She's all of a suddenly dropped something in between the slats of the floorboards, which are on the wharf itself, because this place is called Drifter's Wharf and it's built on Gosford waterfront, and something important there has just gone straight out of her hand, straight down in between the slats. And she's got her light on, she's shining it down in between the slats of the wood. She can't get it. Anyways, the person that was with her went down underneath and actually managed to find whatever lost item it was. Come back up. I was in interest, but obviously I'm on the other side of the glass door. door, so it was like being a mime, just to find out what it was. And it turns out she was the girl that was on stage later on in the night, which was, coincidental. I was, yeah, that all right. And I yelled from the audience, "What did you lose under the wharf?" Yeah, anyways. And the band, Lime Cordial, then took at least an hour and a half to actually then get up on stage and play. By that time, I was on to my third Long Island iced tea, and I'd been speaking with the people that I'd met there that night. The names temporarily forgot. Anyways, and some old friends of mine that were there as well. Ended up having a good night. Lost in conversation with them after waiting so long and getting pretty much impatient with the band. Was Riley's birthday, the friend that I ran into, and she was drinking red wine with ice, but obviously was at the point where she'd had too many, or that last one was just too much for her, so no more. Anyways, like I said, I had a good night overall. The next one I wanted to share with you guys was the Avoca Beach Theatre, the stand-up comedy show that I went and seen there. It was $45 a ticket. I went on lastminute.com, OzTix, just and happened to come across the solo seat right up the front, third in, looking directly up at the stage. Pretty much, lucky seat. And I was like, why not? Solo bravo, woo! I'll get down the front, have a good time. So I did. I went there, ordered an Uber, which was awesome getting there, no dramas at all. There was no public transport going out to Avoca Beach Theatre at that time. So why not spoil myself? And not only am I going to get an Uber there, I'm also going to get a few fancy cocktails. I had the espresso martini. I had one of those, a fruit tingle, which is just too much, man. They go straight to my head. And then went back and had another espresso martini. Both delicious. But during the show, me being down the front, I was spotted out, out of all the audience, and the host himself was starting a conversation with me. He's like, "What's your name? Where you're from?" "I'm Dylan. I'm a local, man. How you doing?" Yeah, he's like, "You seem like a cool dude." And we ended up, we're talking amongst, 500 to 700 people. Well, like, yeah, I was like, yeah, get back to the show, man. Anyway, so we did, had a good laugh. Not only that, then the next comedian that was up there picked me out of the lot as well and was having a good laugh with me as well. Then by the end of the show, I'm down in the front with my espresso martini. I've got it, and the host points me out and he goes, "Hey, Dill, what do you got there, man?" I said, "I got espresso martini." And he goes, "Oh, aren't you, bravo to you, mate. You're on the solo act." And I went, "Yeah, I sure am." And he goes, "Yeah, get that, ladies, get that." I was like, "That's right, mate." I had a real good laugh. And he's like, it's coming to the end of the show. I actually wanted to introduce you guys to the guy I've been talking to down the front this whole time. Please, Dylan, stand up, come to the front and take a bow. And, I put me martini down. I didn't want to get up with that because I was, a little bit, "How you doing?" at this time. Anyway, so I got up the front in the spotlight and I took a bow, looked around everyone and took another bow and said, "Thank you very much." Went down, sat back in the seat, ended the show. And then on the way out, I ran into the host, shook his hand, ran into another one of the comedians. They're like, "You got natural talent, please, anytime, get in contact with us." I was like, "That's fantastic," but honestly, at this point, I know I've had three or four cocktails, and I'm like, "Yeah, all right." And there's this little step as you exit out of Avoca Beach Theatre there. And so just this little concrete step, yeah, but I'm actually walking out backwards, talking to the host, just taking a step backwards, and then I take a little trip down that step, and he was like, "Oh, a bit too many martinis there." And I was like, "Oh, look, I didn't mean to embarrass myself, man. I'm going to get in the next Uber that goes past." Ordered my Uber, and then while I'm waiting out there, I ran into Beck, an old friend of mine, go over hugging a kiss. She was with some friends. I said, "Wasn't that great?" She goes, "Yeah, weren't you the star of the show?" And I was like, "I didn't mean to take anyone's wind." Yeah, wow, like, I'm stoked. It was really, like I said, really awesome night. Got the Uber home, no dramas, crashed out in bed, and went on to have the next good time. So for me, that was going to the Doll Robot movie before I went back in these action chairs to see John Wick. So I went to see this Doll Robot movie and I'm sitting in the very front row, and I'm like, this is pretty close, but okay. It's not too close with these new action chairs that go in motion with it. And the movie rolls on, and the main actress in it, like the mother figure in it, her lines were so predictable that I couldn't help but to mouth along as I'm moving around in the chair. So I had a lot of fun doing that. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and watch John Wick 4. I'm going to sit down the front and I'm going to pretend I'm freaking Keanu Reeves in John Wick, man. I'm going to do John Wick the whole time while this chair's flicking me around doing this action film, right? And I was like, yeah, right, egg myself on, went down, got myself a ticket, went down, and I sat in the seat right down the front, and it's a full house, and the movie had been shown already for 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even 5, and it's still a full house. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect that many people. Anyways, I was like, that's what I egged myself on to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure I'm not waving my hands around in front of the screen so people can see, but from my seat, I'm going to do the John Wick moves, the gut in the head, the gut in the head, the gut in the head, bang, 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 slap, bang, boof, so I did. In the action chair while I'm moving around, I got into the full Keanu Reeves John Wick mode. Yeah, had a lot of fun. Again, solo mission. Hey, bravo, it was just me, man. And then, what's the next one there? Conjuring the 6 surround sound. I don't know what I meant by that one. That was on the list there. I'll go back to that if I remember it. Anyway, next one that got me a real good giggle, guys, it was taking myself out to Thai dinner. I got a red duck curry, yeah. It was down here at East Gosford. The red duck curry was divine. Absolutely delicious, yeah. But it was a big meal. I couldn't eat it all in one go. I paid $25 for it. I'm gonna take it home, let it cool off, and put it in the fridge. And then tomorrow night, I'm gonna have it for dinner. So anyway, tonight being tomorrow night, yeah, I had it for dinner, and then anyways, a couple of hours later, I feel bowel movement coming on, yeah, and I was like, yeah, all right. Natural, it's curry, okay, But anyways, I went in there and I done my business, and as I've kind of finished, if I can relate it to anything, if anyone's ever smoked a menthol cigarette, it was like my insides had done that, and it was coming up from that way. It was like, woo, that's a breath of fresh air coming in there. Woof, like a, woo, so anyway, it gave me the giggles. Yeah, I was like, that's unreal. That's why my ass had a menthol cigarette. Fuck. Anyway, so then I came out of the toilet giggling my guts out after that, and I thought, that's something I'm going to share with you guys. I did take myself down for an hour and a half, 2-hour Thai massage. Cost me $130. It was absolutely beautiful. Really enjoyed it. I can only say that was a Bravo solo one, just for me spoiling myself to go and do that. Before, guys, when I was telling you about the Woodport Inn comedy show, I used to go and see that routinely on a Thursday. It was really good. It actually inspired me to start writing more stand-up routines to share with you guys, as you've previously heard. And if you haven't, go back and have a listen. And you can always email me and tell me how shit they are if you want. Anyway, so that show there, I used to go and watch, seen some really good comedians, but one time this young fella got on stage and he was doing his acting. I'm laughing, I'm having a giggle, and anyway, he's pointing me out and he said, yeah, like this fella up front, he's laughing at the awkward times, and I was like, yeah, all right. Anyways, and then the fella on stage didn't get a laugh out of his next joke because I didn't really laugh at it because I was still discombobulated about why he'd say that. And then this is me having a few Long Island iced teas just going, oh, all right, hold on. And anyway, so then he said, oh, he didn't get a laugh out of it. Oh no, got it out fumbled with his paper and then tried another joke and it didn't work. And then he said, oh, well, I'm just going to go home and commit suicide. And then the crowd went, ha, 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 and he was like, oh, fumbling with his paper, and he's like, yeah, like, rah, 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 with another joke, and nobody was really getting it. And then he said it again. Oh, I'm just going to go and commit suicide. And then I was like, dude, like, you can't, I'm the audience, but I'm not a heckler, you can't say that. Like, are you okay? you know, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to go home. And I said, yeah, we know. And then what's going to happen? And he was like, oh, ha, 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 you know, all right, axe over, went off stage. And I was kind of like, Dave, the host, you know, check in with that guy, make sure he's okay, please. And he was like, yeah, I will, you know, yeah, that was a bit odd. The guy was wearing purple tracksuit pants and a friggin' orange polo shirt, and he had ginger hair, and was he wearing glasses? Yeah, thick black glasses, I'm pretty sure. You know, and I can just think back now, and I can only see him playing a violin, like in my memory. But I know he didn't have a violin, if that makes sense. Anyway, that was a routine thing for me. I really enjoyed it. Then COVID hit and it squashed it. Then they didn't see any shows for a long time. The routine comedy acts didn't return. So then that's when I branched out and started going to other acts like stand up out at Avoca Beach, and a few other ones as well. The other one I want to tell you guys about was the dinner at Long Jetty. Sorry, the Diggers at Long Jetty, and the dinner that I had there, that was a mouthful. The dinner that I had at Diggers at Long Jetty, there we go. Anyways, it was their big award saying that they'd won the award, Dinners Award of the Central Coast, and, you know, 5 out of 5 stars, and, you know, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll go in there and try it. And I got a green chicken curry. And yeah, it was nice and everything, but the chicken was a little bit dry, you know, and yeah, it's not the best. And, you know, it was a bit like that. You know, it wasn't the greatest food I've ever had. And then, you know, you look at the receipt and see how much you paid at Legs Club, and went, oh, you know, that's definitely a once in a one time thing. You know, so I thought to myself, going out and paying these things and eating by myself and doing these solo acts, yeah, bravo to me, man. But like to share them. Like, should I be doing them on my podcast, sharing it with you guys? And that's why I wanted to jump on now and start to share it with you guys, because the experience should not only be mine, but should be one I should be sharing with other people, because I enjoy it. I don't have a bad time. I always end up having a good time, but you know, there's some stories you can't tell your kids. Yeah, I'd rather share them with you guys and Dad too if he's out there, you know. So yeah, for me the dinner wasn't that great. And the other one, going down to Long Jetty for cocktails, set myself up for a big night. You know, hearing about this place being, you know, the best cocktail place that you've ever had. It was the best one on the coast, the best cocktail you've ever had. You know, it's literally a cocktail bar, you know. And I went in there, you know, all dressed up, looking nice. There's no one else in there, man. There's no one else here. You know, I order a cocktail, waited 25 minutes, went, oh, well, I'll order another one just in case. Where's the party at? You know, no one in there. What? You said it's a Friday night, I think it was, anyway. I was, you know, a party up the street that I'm missing out on or something. You know, what's going on? Anyways, I ended up drinking two cocktails. The first one, Long Island iced tea, then one random zombie one with friggin' lime in it, and then the last one, which did not agree with me, was the orange juice one. You know, I just thought I'll try another one. And then I had a flashback to when I was 16 and I was a Hellraiser pretending I was 18 and drinking vodka and the orange juice out of the carton, man. And we ended up spewing that up for hours. I know, sorry, I didn't mean to mention that, but just flashback, you know. So yeah, that was just gross, and that's why it made me ill. I feel that. And anyways, yeah, we went up, you know, going home, tail tucked between my legs, thinking, you know, feeling sorry for myself. So anyway, guys, I will get back to you with more solo missions from Solo Bravo. I've really enjoyed it. I am hoping that this could turn into a paper column or something to share with more people, even to let them know, you know, the meal was great, but, you know, the second night after, menthol cigarettes. Anyways, please like, subscribe, do whatever your kids do these days.